Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurumedeva Sarvakareshu Sarvada Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Deva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Shri Hanumate Namaha. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 30th of April 2025. I want to welcome you all to today's contemplative exploration of further concepts of Vedanta. I want to offer my prostrations to all the great sages and to Paramatma residing in the heart of every being. I want to further examine the Jagrat Avastha, Swapna Avastha, Shushupti Avastha in Vedanta, and there is a connecting reference to Vachanamrut Sarangpur number 6, where Bhagavan Swaminarayan, Sajanand Swami Maharaj, he talks about this in very interesting ways. So there's a paragraph that I want to read here, and then we will see if we can try to unpack this very carefully. So in Sarangpur 6 Vachanamrut, Maharaj configures waking, dream, and deep sleep in three harmonics of cosmic vibration issued by the Trigun, meaning the three fundamental gunas. What does that mean? Let's look at that sentence carefully. This waking, dream, and deep sleep states, these are harmonics of cosmic vibration. Now, what does that mean? This is where the fun begins. There is a very profound analysis in just one paragraph in Sarangpur 6 Vachanamrut, where Maharaj talks about this with regards to that our waking state, dream state, and deep sleep state are due to the waking, dream, and deep sleep states of Virat Purush, of Virat Narayan, Bhagavan Narayan. Meaning there's forms of Narayana and there's a trans-cosmic form called Virat Narayan. You can see the level that is talking about. But for our purposes here, there is what is called cosmic vibration. Let's just talk about that, because it'll be too difficult to go into other things in that paragraph itself. First of all, this body that we see, this sharir, it's a vibration. It is a vibration in the fabric of space, time, and causality. Everything vibrates at various frequencies. That's why we hear sound, right? So if I make some knocking sound or any kind of sound, what is a sound? A sound is a change in the vibration of the matter, and then that changes the vibration of air. That goes into our ear. It changes the vibration of the tympanic membrane, and then that stimulates nerves, and then we hear the sound. That's a sound. Sound is nothing but change in vibrations that are already there. So in that sense, this entire body, this body that we see, it is a vibration. All right. If it is a vibration, then what is it a vibration in, or what is it that is vibrating? You see, so it is actually nothing but Akshara Brahma, the absolute infinite consciousness that is vibrating energetically as this body. Because even Prakriti, and this is pure Advaita, where Prakriti is only a vibration, spandana. It is a powerful, dynamic force of Brahman only that shows up as infinite Jivatma. It is the one that is appearing as the many through its own power. This is the basic concept. Now we can look at this concept in two other traditions, that is the non-dual Shaiva Tantra tradition, and we can look at it also in terms of the Vishishtadvaita tradition. The same concept of vibration. The Vishishtadvaita tradition is that we are Jivatma, bound by our own ego, vasanas, etc., and we are existing and living within the body of Narayana. This is called Vishishtadvaita Vedanta. So, just as a cell, take one cell of the skin cell or a heart cell, is part of this entire body. But the body is much more than just one cell or 10 cells or 100 cells. Because there's millions of cells. Just like that each Jivatma is emitted, is part of the body of Narayana. But Narayana is still separate from those Jivatmas. This is called Ramanujacharya's Vishishtadvaita, which we have not talked much about. We've talked about the Advaitic system of Shankaracharya. Fine, nobody's wrong. Remember, everybody has their own perspective on this. But try to understand this way. The sun and the sunlight, the photons that are coming from the sun, one photon is not the whole sun, but it is also not different from the sun. That is why it is called Advaita, but it is Vishishta. Vishishta means qualified. It's qualified non-dualism. That the Jivatma is part of the body of Narayana. And the goal is to not be separate from that Narayana through the power of Maya, because there's Bhagavan Narayan, there is Maya, which is the power of Narayana, and there is the infinite number of Jivatma. This is called three tattvas. So Vishishtadvaita has three tattvas. In the Shikshapatri, Shriji Maharaj has incorporated this inside there. This is Ramanuj Vedanta. In Advaita Vedanta, there are not three tattvas. There is only one tattva. Brahman. Only Brahman. Nothing else. Even when using words like Narayana and Shiva and all that, they consider that is still Saguna Brahman with form. The Nirguna Brahman is the Nirakar, infinite consciousness only, absolute. That is Advaita Vedanta. Now, if you turn this around, where what we consider to be the Nirgun, Nirakar, Brahman is only the light from Narayana. Narayana is the supreme person, Purushottama. And with form, not formless. That's interesting. The Advaitins will not agree on this point. They say, what do you mean by, as soon as you put a form in there, they reject that form. They will say, no, there cannot be any, even if you see a form that is at lower level, higher level, there is no form of any kind. Advaita Vedanta Parampara will say this. They're both correct. They're both correct because of their realization. It depends on the realization. I could be sitting in my home here and have the sunlight beaming inside my every room in the house. Am I seeing the sun or am I not seeing the sun? In one sense, I'm not seeing the sun. In another sense, I am seeing the sun. The light of the sun is lighting up just right now even. I don't have any lights on. The whole condominium that I'm in here, it's all lit up by the sunlight. But isn't there a difference in my going outside and actually seeing the sun versus sitting here and the light is coming here? So I'm just at the beginning stage of seeing the sun when sitting at home. But then if I go outside, everything is lit up so bright. Still, I'm at the next stage of seeing the sun. But if I start turning my head and actually begin to see that ball of light, then I can say, oh, that is the sun. So in Vishishtadvaita Vedanta and all of the acharyas that came after Shankaracharya ji, they will say this, that what Shankaracharya ji is talking about is only the beginning. The Advaitic teachers will not agree on this point. They will not, Swami Sarvapayanandaji and all those people that are online, they will absolutely not agree on this. But because it's not a question of agreement, it's a question of realization. ठीक है, जो भी है, but this I just want to point out the differences in the Vedantic approach. The analogy is very interesting. I mean, I could be sitting, I'm sitting in my home right now. There's not a single light on, and all of the light is coming from the sun. Am I really seeing the sun? Or am I just getting just a very initial glimpse? So it's what Ramanujacharya and Madhvacharya and all the Bhakti Sampradaya sadhus, the acharyas, what they will say is that when we are awakened out of the Jagrat Swapna Shushupti Avastha, we are awakened out of the bondages of these three avasthas, we begin, the Atman begins to reveal. And Bhagavan Swaminarayan has done something amazing. Shriji Maharaj, उन्होंने ये सब का combination किया. Ramanuj, Advait Vedanta, Madhvacharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Bhakti Sampradaya, the different, he took the entire Sanatana Dharma, or he showed exactly what the linkages are and pulled it together in a way that shows from a tattva point of view where everything exists. It's a very advanced subject. That's what I mentioned it to you before, that the Swaminarayan spirituality recordings are billion times more advanced than Advait Vedanta, than what we're talking about here. And I'm not exaggerating that. They are billions of times more advanced. But it's so far advanced that it would be difficult even for the highest enlightened sages to touch upon that. That's how advanced it is. And I won't go into that right now, because if somebody really wants to know that, spend like 1 month with me over here and I'll explain it to you. And we can go through 200 scriptures. It's too far advanced. It's too way super advanced baat hai wo. So, because the glimpse of the Atman and Brahman is so extraordinary, you will feel that is everything. That is only the beginning. That is only the beginning. It is not the end. Think about it. But the glory of the Atman and Brahman is so intense. How can you even see anything beyond that? And this is where 90% of Sanatana Dharma has stopped right there. But the other acharyas that came, they said, no, there is much more than that. Ab ye sab baat aisi hai na, it is something that is, from any sampradaya you can look at it, even from Shakti sampradaya point of view, from the Shakti point of view, that the Mahashakti is even beyond the Brahman. They look at it, they turn it around. In Advait Vedanta, they will say Shakti is a power of Brahman. From the Shakta point of view, they say that the Brahman is only one aspect of Shakti. You follow this point? Now, all of this discussion, it will just remain discussion unless we awaken. So the Jagrat Avastha, Swapna Avastha, Shushupti Avastha, and the three gunas of Maya, they are energetic modulations on consciousness. But even if one transcends them and begins to have the anubhav of the Atma Tattva, and actually before you have the anubhav of the Atma Tattva, all the chakras appear. You see how advanced this is? Because the chakras are lit by the light of the Atma. And those chakras exist in a dimension beyond Jagrat Swapna Shushupti Avastha. Right? So that awakening happens, there is a totally different dimension that opens in dhyan, in samadhi, in sadhana. Chakras appear. And then again we come back into body consciousness. Again we're doing dualistic worship of our Ishta Devata, because you have to do bhakti. Bhakti to sabko, everybody has to do it. Doesn't matter which philosophical system it is. And then in doing so, the way that the sadhana is done, the kind of understanding that is there, that will open the further growth. If my understanding during sadhana is that the jiva and the Brahman are one, and that is the only thing that is there, that is what will come. But if my bhavna is such that I want to see the form of the Lord, then the form of the Lord, Bhagwan ka jo sakar swarup hai, wo aayega. But again, it's a matter of what we are doing while we are in the state of sadhana here. That is what will be opened up further. It depends on what level of Vedanta we have incorporated during the sadhana time that will open up the dimension further. So if somebody is sitting in algebra class, as an analogy, they can only open the dimension of algebra, not trigonometry. If somebody is studying only trigonometry, they have not studied calculus or differential equations. That's a higher class. There's higher and higher and higher classes. Similarly, Advaita Vedanta is only the very beginning. It's not the end according to Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Nimbarkacharya, Vallabhacharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Bhagwan Swaminarayan, all of them. They will say Shankaracharya ji is just touching on the very first layer only. Then that is Brahman, the effulgence. It is called Brahma Jyoti. Isko Brahma Jyoti kehte hai. If you go to ISKCON, the Hare Krishna movement, they will say exactly this. They will say the Bhagwan ka jo dham hai, Bhagwan is sakar, Bhagwan ke wahan mukt hai, and the effulgence that is coming from Golok, Vrindavan, that is Brahma Jyoti, and that is where what Shankaracharya ji is stopped right there. The light that is coming from the abode of God. But that light is Sat Chit Ananda. And that is actually coming from the body of Sri Krishna in the Goloka. And that same light in another abode called Vaikuntha, it is coming from there in Shvetadvipa. And there's many abodes like this. These are called abodes. It's called Dham kehte hai. And they all exist in the Brahma Jyoti. The Brahma Jyoti, but now what's interesting, who we are, we have the same substance as that. Hamara the Atma Tattva is also Sat Chit Ananda, but it is under the influence of Maya. The moment the influence of Maya goes away, the moment it goes away, the Jiva is no longer Jiva, it is Shiva. The Jiva is Atma. It is the Jiva Brahma Ekatva. The Mahavakyas of the Upanishads open right there at that point. There's a very beautiful video. I just saw this on YouTube. I'll send it in our link actually, on Madhvacharya ji's Vedanta. Somebody has done a fantastic exposition on that. I just watched it yesterday or day before yesterday. It's 1 hour. It shows this thing that I'm trying to explain here. He talks about that. He explains Madhvacharya ji's interpretation on the same Brahma Sutras, Prastantraya, the Gita, and it is very different from Shankaracharya ji's. Very different, because it is not that the Jivatma becomes the Paramatma. It is not that the Jivatma is always subservient to the Lord. It is called dualistic Vedanta, Dvaita Vedanta. In Advaita Vedanta, the notion is that there's really no God in Advaita Vedanta. There is, but there isn't. Saguna Brahman is only just that one supreme consciousness appearing. So from that perspective, you can say there's only the light. I can say that the sun doesn't have any form, but you can also say the sun has a form. The sunlight in one sense is nirakar. Iska kya akar hai? And in another sense, the sun has a form. And then there's even the spiritual idea that within the sun there's a deity, actual, just like how we are a being. There's a Surya Devata, that is a form of Narayana, that is a metaphysical being that we cannot see through our material eyes. And if you go into samadhi, you can go into the sun and see that being. ऐसी भी idea है. So when a person goes into samadhi, the Ida, Pingla, Shushmana, Nadi open, and the moon, the Chandra Loka, the Surya Loka, these lokas, you can go there and see who is staying there actually. So the rishis could go travel outside the body, go into those places and see what is there. Who is there? And so all of these extraordinary states are there. And then they also wanted to find out, who am I? I am Brahman. Well, if you realize you are Brahman, meaning pure consciousness, then that is non-dual Brahman. There's no other than that one. That is Advaita. But what about Golok Dham? What about Vaikuntha Dham? What about the heavens and all that? That wo bhi hai. But those people who are in that Brahmic state only, they don't see those abodes. They don't see any of that. They don't see that because of various reasons. Because they are so lost already inside that Brahman. You cannot see that actually. It's like this, a drop of water goes into the ocean. Where is that drop of water now? There's only that effulgent ocean. You cannot see the form of Paramatma when there is being lost inside the Brahman. You see, so like Bhagavan Swaminarayan says, do not get trapped inside there. So this is the difference with Advaita Vedanta. In Advaita Vedanta, the Jivatma goes into the Brahman. There's no more Jivatma. There's no you in your. It's like a spiritual destruction. There's no you left anymore. तो हमारा कोई अस्तित्व ही नहीं है वहां. इसीलिए भगवान की उपासना निरंतर होनी चाहिए. Then by the grace of God, you get a divine body, and that Brahman is still there, that effulgence is there, but there is actual life with the Lord. Otherwise, there is only the one without a second, and there is no anubhav. There's no experience of any kind except the existence, consciousness, bliss. There's no dualistic experience. The way Ramakrishna Paramahansa, this is very high level stuff, but it's difficult to understand, also difficult to explain. Ramakrishna Paramahansa would say, I don't want to become sugar, I want to enjoy sugar. So what Shriji Maharaj, I'll just take another minute here, then we'll stop. What Maharaj did here, he took Advaita Vedanta and pulled it together with Bhakti. And that is Shikshapatri Slok 116. And that is the most extraordinary combination. उन्होंने क्या किया? उन्होंने इसका he bridged it together. He said, Nijatmanam Brahma Rupam Dehatraya Vilakshanam. This first verse, half of this verse, you are Brahman, yes. Nijatmanam Brahma Rupam. Aap Brahma ka form hai. So what happens in that? You go outside Jagra, Swapna, Sushupti, Sthul, Sukshma, Karan, Sattva, Rajtam. One is out of that. One is in that effulgent state. Now, something interesting. In that state, in that Advaitic state that Shankaracharya ji is saying, in that Brahmic state, worship Parabrahma, Bhakti hi Krishna se sarvada. So, the Bhakti is not destroyed and Jnana is not destroyed. Because those who become Bhakta, they say, oh, Jnana kya hai sab. They put Jnana as a lower thing and push it away. And the danger in doing that, you have deficiency in Vairagya and Jnana. And if we do not emphasize Bhakti and only Jnana and Vairagya, the deficiency is that one can become egotistical inside the Jnana and Vairagya and also not see the Lord. So, Shriji Maharaj, Swaminarayan Bhagwan jisko kehte hai, people don't know all this thing, but that's why I wanted to have this recorded. Is that he bridged this together. So if you take Vivek Chudamani and you take Shankaracharya ji's Bhasyam, all of them, and you take Ramanujacharya's Shri Bhasyam and Madhvacharya ji's Bhasyam and all these other acharyas, you pull it all together, it is all inside Vachanamrut. This entire linkage, the actual full Tattvik vision called Panchbhed. So Maharaj took all of these acharyas and he had his own vision and he said, they're all correct. So then he put them together in what is called Panchbhed as Jeev, Ishwar, महामाया, अक्षर ब्रह्म एंड पर ब्रह्म। इसको पंच भेद कहते हैं। I know it's difficult. It is definitely difficult, but I just wanted to at least have some recording on this here, just to show that first of all, no Acharya is wrong. It's not Ramanujacharya is not wrong, Shankaracharya is not wrong, Vivekananda Swami is not wrong, Ramakrishna Paramahansa, nobody is wrong. It's not a question of right and wrong. We should not make that mistake. Jesus is not wrong, Guru Nanak is not, everybody is right. It is a matter of their anubhav, their realization, and then how they have expressed that to the society at the time that they were on this planet. This is the beauty of the Upanishad that says ekam sat vipraha bahuda vadanti. वो परम सत्य तो एक ही, it is ultimately only one, but that one is it can appear in any which way. The one can appear in any which way. That's the beauty. Ramakrishna Paramahansa explained it beautifully, that there is the ocean, but there's icebergs in the ocean. And this is called Nitya Sakar Dham. Listen to Swami Medhanand Ji's lectures on this point. He's a Ramakrishna Paramahansa monk. And he's done a lot of research on this. Ki Nitya Sakar Dham kya hai? Goloka is there, Vaikuntha is there. They are eternal abodes. They are existing. And Ramakrishna Paramahansa has talked about that also. Even if you do a study of Ramakrishna Mission, you could spend lifetime studying their texts. This is how amazing it is that even they teach mostly Advaita Vedanta, but now you have this new saint who's come about. He's a younger saint. He's a PhD in philosophy, and he's reinterpreted Ramakrishna's teachings that Brahma Satyam Jagat Satyam, not Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. Listen to his YouTube में बहुत उनके videos है, बहुत interesting बात है सब. Okay, I know it took extra time. Sorry about that. I just wanted to get it recorded here. Thank you so much. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakareshu Sarvada. Om Ganganapate Namaha Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deva Maheshwara Guru Deva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guru Venama Dhanamulam Guru Murti Mantramulam Guru Vakyam Pujamulam Guru Padam Mokshamulam Guru Krupa Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Gnanamurtim Dvandatitam Gagana Sadrusham Tattvamasyadi Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimalavachanam Sarvadi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatītam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundai Viche. Om Glom Hum Klim Jum Saha. Jwalaya Jwalaya Jwala Jwala Prajvala Prajvala Aim Rim Klim Chamundai Viche Jwala Ham Sam Lam Ksham Phat Swaha. Om Durge Durge Rakshini Tha Swaha Divilingaya Namah Urdhvalingaya Namah Anandalingaya Namah Chandraya Namah Suryaya Namah Nakshatra Vigramate Namah Om Galakandakataya Namah Navachakrangaya Namo Namah Namah Shivaya Namah Shivaya Namah Shivaya Om Namo Narayanaya Om Shri Radha Krishnarpanamastu Om Hrim Swaha.